Winner, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much and welcome everybody. Good afternoon, welcome to the Resources Overview and Scrutiny Committee. Just to let you know, there is no fire drill planned today. However, if the fire alarm goes off, please make your way through the front doors of the building and walk over to the skate park. I'll be there before everybody, okay? Don't worry about that. Members are reminded that the meeting may be filmed or otherwise recorded by councillors or members of the public. The council wishes to remind people that are filming that the law permits you to film public meetings only, and you must cease filming as soon as the meeting ends. Thank you. I heard that. Chair, item number 1. So, apologies for absences and substitutions, declarations of interest and dispensations, Ben.
Thank you, Chair. There's apologies from Councillor Andrew Clegg with Councillor Bernard Dawson substituting. There's also an apology from Richard Downey, who's for our team.
Thank you very much, Ben. Anybody got declarations of interest and dispensations? No. Good, thank you. Do any of members of the committee, let me see, sorry, item number 2, to submit the meeting minutes of the Resources Overview and Scrutiny Committee held on 16th and 20th of February 2024 for approval as a correct record. Does anyone have any questions or comments on the minutes? No? Okay. Have somebody to recommend it?
I'll recommend that, Chair.
And have a seconder, please?
I'll second.
Thank you very much. All those in favour? Any against? Brilliant, thank you very much. Swiftly on to item 3, which is my update. So this item is to update the committee on any matters previously sent to Cabinet, Council or elsewhere for consideration, or any of the relevant matters the Chair wishes to raise. There is one update. Members will be aware that at the meeting on the 20th of February, the committee considered budget proposals from the controlling group and some amendments from the opposition. The committee voted to support the budget as outlined, with the addition of the amendments proposed by the opposition. The comments of the committee were presented to the council at its meeting on the 27th of February. The amendments were not approved by the council. There is nothing further to update, so we will move on to the next item. So, the main item today, which is item 4, which is the procurement update. I'd like to welcome Executive Directors Jane Ellis and Martin Dyson to present this report. I think, Martin, you might as well be on every committee meeting, by the way, by the look of things. Anyway, can I ask you to summarise your report, please?
Right, thank you, Chair. There's also a massive amount to summarise. You've got with you and with the report a copy of the procurement strategy, which was approved comparatively recently in October by the Cabinet, which is the 5th procurement strategy that the Council has actually produced. They're pretty limited in their ambition, I would guess, but it sets out the aims and objectives for the Council for the next few years, and that's sort of set out in summary form in paragraph 3.3 of your report, just confirming that we've actually been pretty good with doing our staff training, and that the last training in for staff actually took place yesterday, and we got about 25 staff here for the training, which is a pretty good sort of turnout. Don't really have anything else to add other than to indicate that we will be doing a review of our procurement rules probably later on this year. The government have some legislation which is working its way through as a Parliament, which is due to come into force in October. Once we are familiar with that and its actual kind of requirements, then we'll make changes to our own in-house rules. But at the moment, we're just waiting to see what goes there. Unless Martin's got anything else he'd like to add.
Okay, thank you very much, both of you. We have a few questions that we've already, committee members have always put forward. So I'll go straight to the first one. How much do the council spend locally, that's within the Highburn area, based businesses in the financial year?
I'll come forward with that, Chair, if you can. Right at this moment, due to the information being contained on an old financial system, it's really, really difficult to pull that information forward. As you may or may not be aware that we're just right this moment in the process of implementing a new financial system, and once the information is actually transferred into that new financial system, we should be able to hopefully provide some information on that that would give maybe a couple of years information as well to give a trend. So I'm more than happy to bring that back to a future meeting or provide it in the interim. However, I can't do that in the short time scales.
No problem. Do you know roughly when you'll be able to do that? I won't hold you to it, by the way.
Certainly within the next couple of months.
Brilliant, thank you. If you could just forward it to the chair of the committee, whoever's chair of the committee at the time, I really appreciate that. Does anybody else got any questions within that question? That makes sense? No? Okay. Question 2 then. Do our procurement guidelines allow us to prioritise local businesses?
There is a written answer. I don't know if that's been circulated, but I think okay. Certainly there would be legal difficulties with that in terms of the legal obligations on the authority. So we do not have anything written into our standing orders which favours local firms. However, we have done a bit of a trawl round, and we know certainly we do try our best within the rules to give local firms every opportunity to bid for council work. That's particularly relevant when we're thinking about how things are actually sort of packaged so that they're smaller rather than larger where that's feasible. It also partly depends how you would view a local business, just Highburn, East Lancashire. There's various ways that might be viewed. Certainly on a note that I've had from Helen McHugh-Melling, who leads a lot of our construction work. She was hoping to be here, but she's actually poorly, so she's left a note, if I can refer to that, because she's really actively involved in a lot of our sort of purchasing. She said that for DFGs, we get 3 quotes for each job, and we usually use local contractors, who she says she feels gives us an excellent service and great value for money, and the spend there currently is roughly about £1 million per annum. So the DFG process is actually putting a lot of work into local firms. For repairs and maintenance, she's indicating we use a range of largely local firms. I'm not sure how she is actually defining that, whether she just means the borough or kind of Lancashire. Again, who she feels offer us an excellent service. Again, for larger contracts and more specialist work, such as for lifts, water safety, and for the aircon system, we would usually use frameworks for that. So I think the indication is there that that's more specialist work and isn't local firms. But she says in terms of all work, that would be based on quotes, and we would aim for a rotation of the firms that we use so that we're not using the same firms all the time. So there is an actual chance for people to bid and get work where they haven't done so previously, and that's part of our process for ensuring that we still get sort of value for money, that we do expose the work that we've got with that kind of job over to a competitive process. She's also indicating that we regularly use Highburn-based surveyors and architects for survey and for design work. Now she's used an acronym here for PSDS. Do you know what that would be?
It's public sector decarbonisation scheme.
Right, so for the decarb scheme, we used we used a framework because of the size of the scheme, and that was a call-off appointment to Alliance Leisure. They engaged the actual construction workers who were Bradford based, so for that one, still in the north, I guess. For the carbonisation scheme for Skatecliff House, we went out to open tender rather than using a framework. We appointed 3 separate firms, one for lighting, one for solar panels, one for aircon. That was based on the cost and the quality of the bid. And we ended up appointing 2 firms, one from Blackburn, one from Hull. But again, we would go not just on being local, it's got to be an actual good price and having the skills and the capability for the job. For the Wilson scheme, again, we've used the UK Leisure Framework, and the contractor there is again Bradford based.
Okay, thank you very much. Anybody got any questions on that?
Could I just,
Yes, please do.
what we were saying at the briefing, and I quoted a specific example a few years ago in my ward, the Jackhouse Nature Reserve, some work wanted doing to paths, and there was a local man who had a good reputation, and the local people in the Friends group wanted him to do this job, but our officer here at Hindburn wouldn't entertain him because he couldn't provide a glossy folder with all his credentials. And when I spoke to the officer, it was Dave Turner, he said, well, you know, if he's only a one-man band, what happens if he goes off sick in the middle of the job, sort of thing, you know. So it seemed to me that it was really difficult for this local man to be able to get work, although I believe that Lancashire County Council used him on quite a regular basis. So it's there's a bit of a disadvantage perhaps the small firms.
I think the small and the ultra small, if it's a one-man band, then that is at the very smallest end. I mean, we do have certain standard kind of requirements, like anybody doing work, especially things like footpaths, they need insurance.
Yes.
So they need things like public liability, because obviously if anybody was injured during the course of the work. And if we didn't have that and somebody was hurt, I don't think it would play very well to say yes, but they were local. I think there's certain things that we have to sort of consider, and having adequate insurance, for example, would be one of them.
Yeah, I see, yeah, thank you.
Anybody else? No, let's swiftly move on to the next question now. What support does the council provide to small businesses and local businesses to help them secure work within the council? Do you give any, so we're asking, because it's small, do you give them any support or help?
We do have a business support section on the website with information in it. We do have a section which is there to help firms sell to the council. We have in the past, but I will agree we haven't done it recently, we have run doing business with the council sessions and kind of briefings. Probably not since COVID. I guess that stopped that happening. We haven't really done any since, so maybe it might be timely now to bring those back, where we bring local firms in and we explain how to play the game. I'm sort of guessing how to put together bids that will score well in our and also to enable local firms to understand what we are sort of looking for and how to put together a good bid. So we have had evenings like that, we just haven't really done any recently. We do also, I'm informed, again I'm just having to read off notes, because we do have a range of some people involved in this work rather than just one or two. For Levelling Up, there is a separate actual website which does relate to the Levelling Up schemes in the town centre, and that is updated regularly with ongoing projects and the opportunities to bid for work. So there is information there. I guess the question is that people need to know to look. But it does say that to raise business awareness of the website, the council with partner Morgan Sindall, who are the lead contractor, have recently hosted an online workshop specifically to inform local firms of forthcoming chances to apply for bids. So it looks like we have been actually sort of going out, trying to inform people locally of the opportunity to work on those schemes. And there's been a Getting Connected event hosted at Accrington Town Hall. Doesn't give me a date, which was a chance for suppliers to meet a number of actual buyers locally, so we have been trying to organise some events.
Thank you. Anybody got any questions? Okay, question 4. Why does the council not have a central procurement team / officer?
Do you want to do
Give me a rest. I think the history behind this is that the council generally we're not a massive borough council, and a lot of the councils who have central procurement teams or officers have generally spent quite a bit more than Hindburn has. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't look at certain aspects of our procurement. We have a central admin team who do a lot of the central procurement for things such as stationery, those kind of aspects, and that to making sure that we get the best prices and we get through quotations, and that a lot of that is generally spent locally wherever it can be as well. But the general reason for most councils having a procurement team is about them also managing their efficiencies, and they generally look that it's almost an investor save process. And we've always felt that in the past that as long as we're maintaining and managing our prices within our contracts and within our schemes, that wherever possible we are achieving those efficiencies. So to spend probably somewhere in the region of £60,000+ in getting an officer in to specialise in this, dedicated, we would have to make some significant savings somewhere along the lines. So it's not something that has just been pushed to the side and it's not considered. It's considered as part of every manager's role as well.
And you think that the volume, being a small borough, it doesn't really warrant it?
That's certainly been the case. However, we understand that as we're growing as a council and we're getting a lot more, particularly the capital spend and everything, we've had to rely a lot more on external advice and also the use of government frameworks, which is our assurance that we are doing things through the right process, and wherever possible we're obtaining the best supplier, but also at competitive prices.
Thank you very much.
Can I just ask a bit of clarification? Yeah, when you say about central admin, are you talking like Julie Palmer's team? Yeah. Because I seem to remember her predecessor, Derek Ridyard, he used to bid online for like photocopying paper at auction or something in big quantities. I don't know if that sort of thing still happens.
we don't bid online.
Well, no.
Well, actually, we did.
Yes, I'm not making that up. Yeah.
No, we had at one point we paid for specialist software to run online auctions, and we did run auctions to supply the council largely routine items, so stationery, paper. Well, I think we also used it for safety kits, so there were a number of things that we ran. But I don't think we found that the cost of the software that you needed to run the process justified itself in terms of the savings. So I'm not aware we've operated that software probably for the last decade, Judith.
Oh, well, I've been retired 15 years now.
Yeah, you are actually going back quite a way.
Sorry, Chair.
Only yesterday.
I took it for 1 second that we were almost implying that we used email or something on the lines of bidding. So
I know what you're talking about.
Thank you.
So it was this something. So thanks.
Thank you very much. Anybody else got any questions to add? Okay, on to question 5. How does the council ensure best value for money when procuring?
Between us, I think there are a range of ways. It's not just one simple answer. Firstly, our procurement processes, and that's picked up through the training that we do run at least every year, sometimes twice a year. So things like the actual criteria that we do encourage officers to expose opportunities to the market, so that people get a chance to bid, and that should at least ensure that we are obtaining a competitive price. When we do Purchase, we would look at the contract and choose the person to work for the council either on the basis of the lowest price, which for simple things would be fine, or more often we go on the basis of the most economically advantageous bid. So we don't just look at price, we look at wider things such as how quickly they're able to do the work, the quality of the work, the qualification, how long the firm's been kind of going, the whole range of things that we might sort of look at to ensure that we get the best sort of deal from the best firm for the job. We obtain value for money in the way that we actually manage the budgets, so that operates in a number of ways to make sure that schemes and projects don't overspend. And as I say, through our actual training for staff. Have you got anything else you want to add?
No.
Thank you very much. Anybody got any questions? Would anybody like to make a statement or say anything? No? I mean, personally me, and I'm coming from a different avenue, I understand that you guys work in the coalface as such, and you have to fulfill the regulations, make sure it's lawful, make sure you're doing things right, make sure you're getting cost effective and all these good things, and I understand that. And I know me sitting outside going, you know what, even if it costs a bit more, I'd rather have local. I'd rather help our local economy, create jobs. You see where we come, and that is more of a political thing, isn't it? Where obviously you guys have to do cost effective money, can jobs is going to be done on time and all these. And it's easier for us to sit on the outside and go, well, why don't you do this when it's unrealistic in the real world? So I understand that, but you know, I think we all agreed on the actual briefing is that, you know, we want to encourage local businesses, and you understand why, because it helps our local economy. I mean, if you look at the Preston model, which I keep looking at, is that it's worked at Preston. I know the only problem with Preston is that it's a huge borough compared to what we have, and there's, as you said, there's loads more being spent than we spend every year. We understand the restriction. But yeah, anybody else got any questions? Yes, please do. Sorry.
Just to follow on from you, Paddy, I mean, you've highlighted the Preston model. They're fortunate that they have a major university, major hospital, and other major employees. Iron is made up of small SMEs, apart from Express Gifts, which is the Goliath, but they're not in that. They're selling at the cheapest price going. Your universities and your hospital trusts have a major budget, and certain areas it works, certain areas it won't.
It's got a bigger population.
Well, it's not that much bigger when you start looking at the population, the total population, not the electorate. It's simply what's there and what is signed up to it. If you had a major university, Clan in Iron, or you had a major hospital employing many thousands of people, you know, I mean, all right, you've got the college budget will be far massive than the district council. I mean, a primary school budget can sometimes be the budget similar to Iron Council, but that's already coming under your education authority, so it's independent of them. So, you know, it's, you know, and of course there's the argument on pensions, the Lancashire Pension Fund. It's always been an argument that they should spend locally, but they have the responsibility to the trustees to deliver 6% growth, because if they don't give that, their pensioner isn't, and then there's a liability with the public purse. But they are spending more in Lancashire as well with that. But we have to make the criteria. They make the criteria.
I mean, I think just so that looking at the information from Helen McHugh-Melling, and it's a shame that she isn't here because she's got much more hands-on information. It looks as if for things like our DFGs, which is a large spend, and for our small schemes, we do appear to be using a lot of local firms. So I think the effort is actually being made. And I think officers are generally very mindful of that. So if they can do the job at the quality that we need, because we don't just go for cheapest, it's got to be a sort of an actual sort of decent job. Then if they can do the work, then we do our best to actually use them.
Just reassuring. Councillor Booth.
Yeah, in this procurement environment, the
thing that sort of springs to mind from being, you know, a householder is you're always looking for a quality service. It's not always at our cost. And is there any sort of organisation that you've talked about information about various companies or businesses? Is that somehow collected into a database so you know that these are bona fide operations and you know you're not going to get caught out?
When we do individual purchases, we would always do checks on the firms, so they'd have to provide information about their finances, prove that they're registered, that they've got bank accounts, things of that nature. We often use frameworks to purchase, and all those checks would be done as part of the framework. That's one of the benefits of actually using them, that it's a sort of guarantee. We do quite a lot of our purchasing from standing lists that we keep of firms that we use, and again, to be on the list we have to do checks. So I mean those are refreshed every 4 years, but in the interim firms are able to be sort of added on, but we do checks, so I think that's actually sort of built into the processes that we run.
Could I ask if as part of those checks, you know, the companies that we deal with, do they have to have, for example, say, an equality and diversity policy, things that would be normal in the public sector, you know, small private firms might not have them, but are they required to if they want to do business with the council?
There's no absolute rules, and it depends what they're doing. If they're
Yeah.
selling us kind of paper clips, I don't know. If they're going to be actually providing a service to customers where that would be relevant, then yes.
Yeah.
So what we ask for has got to be relevant to the service or
Yes.
the goods that they're going to bring in. We don't ask for everything and all the same stuff from everybody, because
No.
that would be not reasonable and it'd be
No,
so
it depends what
disproportionate.
it's supplied.
Sorry, in equality and diversity, is by law they have to do it, every company.
I think you're mentioning a policy. I mean, again, if somebody's doing DFGs and it's
What I'm saying is we don't have to do it,
firm,
but they
wouldn't have it.
should be doing it anyway as a course of normal.
They have to comply with the law,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
and that's obviously there. But if you're asking us to expect small local firms to have a range of actual kind of policies,
Yeah, like that
of the
chap
sort-
I mentioned with the footpaths,
Yes,
yeah.
I don't think that we do, because they won't have that, and that would be a way of excluding local firms, which isn't what we're trying to do.
Sorry, thanks. Yeah, I just wanted to add that in my own experience in other councils, with moving into the new financial system that we've got now, when I've implemented this in other authorities, we've had issues locally that the smaller businesses weren't interested in becoming part of the council because they seen it too cumbersome in terms of, you know, even accepting an official order from the council and, you know, the payment process, etc. Now, what we're trying to do is, as well, with the new financial system, is make this a lot more online, a lot more digital, and so therefore it's, you know, you probably smaller businesses, they don't want all the paperwork, they don't want all the faff. So if we can have which we will have a process where we can basically send them an electronic order to the phone, and they can then act with it that way, and they can, you know, now a lot of small businesses have their own invoicing facilities, say even on the phone or an iPad, and they can get that, and what we want to do is engage with them with that, so that we can work quicker with them, and then we can pay them quicker as well, ultimately, you know, so that there's not a 30-day payment term, we can have a 7-day payment term. So those are some of the things that we're looking at with the financial system to aid these things, and hopefully some of that will maybe encourage a lot more interaction as well.
No, thank you. I think it's a very good point, especially about, you know, I know for small companies or very small companies, to wait 30 days for a payment might just not make it viable whatsoever. So I think that's really, really good. Anybody got any other?
Just on the, I mean, we've always tried
obviously it's not, I mean, you've also come up against value for money and so on, don't you? And also one eye on what they're doing in Preston, as you said, Preston Model. Some of us would like to go further, wouldn't we, you know, but it's a different authority package, you know,
Yeah.
so there's not much to strike in it.
Thank you very much, Brad. Anybody else? Okay, so with no recommendations, unless somebody wants to make a recommendation. No member wants to make a recommendation. So other than that, I'd just like to thank both of you, Jane and Martin, for your time and for all your input. It's been really good. Thank you very much for that. And it's just for the committee members, last committee meeting of the year. I'd like to thank every single one of you for coming and supporting the committee, because I think the committee is a really important committee to have scrutinised the administration. So I think it's really important to do that on behalf of our residents. So thank you very much to every single one of you, and take care, and see you soon.
Mr. Knighton, the meeting is over now, so do you want...
It's reverend. So like, if you can respect my
would you like
religion,
to turn off
can you respect my religion,
Would
Jay?
you like to turn off
Can you respect my religion? Can you respect my religion or not?
What religion are you talking about?
The
Would you
religion
like
that I
to
am.
turn off